Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. Fuck ice. I'm your ever host, Shorty. We're going to do another Ignition Press one today called The Other Half by Joe Eismer and Jim McCann. And it's just kind of proven that I made the right choice by carrying on poking into what Ignition does. I don't always have the time, I suppose the money really as a small business owner to invest that much into smaller press kind of stuff. There's no guarantee it's going to sell, and unfortunately, my business is not big and successful enough that I can just always buy stuff for the sake of it, and I'm going to sell enough other things I'm going to make my money back. But almost every time I've taken this risk, it's paid off. Vault Comics being a prime example. This one, Mad Cave Studios, absolutely. Scout, not so much. Ahoy, a little bit more hit and miss. But Ignition, for all the times they've done stuff where I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, but not for me, they've done stuff which has brought me joy. And this one absolutely is joyful. I found myself reading it with a smile on my face and looking forward to seeing what the next little plot developments are and how it's going to play out. I do have some criticisms in terms of the writing, but I'll get to that in a second. I'm going to start with the art, and I do really, really like it. It's not necessarily the kind of art style I would usually recommend. It's quite bold lines, it's quite simple colors. There's no like real huge depth of color palette, and it's all very, very clean. And don't get me wrong, that is not criticism in terms of a stylistic choice, but I usually prefer the slightly more gritty, the slightly more passion-filled art. But this is clearly done on purpose because this is a slick story. It feels kind of cinematic, or at least prestige TV. And when I'm talking about the criticism of the writing, that is unfortunately where it lands to a certain degree. I think I've been spoiled by The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, an Upper East Side New York City story where the dialogue is absolutely razor sharp, whip smart characters playing off each other, and deliveries are just absolutely superb. And there's a lot of that in this book. The characters get on fantastically. The relationships come out not just through non-verbal communication and just seeing them how they respond in terms of how they set their bodies on their faces and talking to each other, but the dialogue is great, apart from a few occasions where it just gets mildly clunky. Not to the point that it ruins the story. It just slows the tempo down just a little bit, and the tempo of the story is one of its selling points. I really do like it. But for the most part, what I love about it is how character driven it is. I don't mind heist stories, but I find some of them a bit frustrating when they just play to the beats you'd expect. The getting the gang together stuff in particular is not my favorite thing, and then it's just waiting for the inevitable double crosses and surprise reveals, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, cool, but not for me. In this case, we have people trying to figure out what's happened, how to solve when something has been taken in what we presume is a heist. And to do so, we have two main characters. Well, I'll say there's two characters. There are a couple, but I think it's actually the Private Eye. The Grizzled Private Eye seems to get like a little bit more time to grow, at least in this first issue. I think we start with him. We find out he's married to somebody who came from money, clearly came from money, and still carries a lot of that with them. But their family disowned them when they found out about the wedding, and I'm willing to bet there's quite a lot of class stuff going on in play there. But I don't want to get too much into that one because it's only issue one, and there's still a lot of room for nuance, and a lot of stuff going to be explored. But I do love the characters. They clearly love each other. They understand each other's flaws and failures, but in ways that do come across through that like kind of class divide. There are moments when you will see prejudice or at least bias ideas, and they get called from them. And it's fun because they have a relationship which allows that kind of thing, but also like quite mild Mickey taking as well. Like an understanding that there are lines you can cross. There are times when you need to give people grace, but there's also times when you can just take the Mickey because you love somebody. And I do love that. But then we get to the fact that there is a heist and they have to come from different viewpoints, different lifestyles, and kind of cross over. The high society is going to go to the lower where nobody knows them, and they're going to hang out with criminal informants and criminal cops, trying to figure what's going on. Our private detective is going to go to the upper class areas where nobody really knows him, so we can start poking around who would be involved in this kind of heist. I really like that as a core concept, and the comic book ends brilliantly, leading into what else is going to go on with that. And I hope you get that I really, really enjoy the core concept, the characters, how it's going to develop, and the story presented with so far. And now I'm going to tell you that it's a very, very queer comic book. The couple are a couple of guys, and you're probably thinking, well, why didn't you say that earlier, Shorter? I don't want the creators to think I was trying to avoid talking about that because I thought it might be something which, I don't want to be talking about on my channel. I will always talk about that kind of my channel. What I wanted to do was to give you an idea of how good the story is, how excellent the character is, and how good the comic book looks, and then kind of as a bit of a litmus test, see if that would bother you. Because not only is it exceptionally queer in terms of the married couple, I think there might be a trans character just based on like some of the coding and language used. I'm not 100% sure on that one, obviously, but I love the idea that it is going for some kind of really nice, reliable crime noir-esque kind of story beats, but is also exceptionally queer, and I can't wait for the rest of it. I can't wait to figure out all these little things that they've left tantalizingly around. I love the Lady and the Tramp relationship the couple has and how that's going to play out. I can't wait to see more character backgrounds on both halves and see how that's going to play into their relationship. Genuinely great book, and I can't wait for more of it. That's it for me for now, though. Until I see you all again, look after yourself, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.